Members of the Audit Committee, are there any matters that you want to raise with our external auditor?
Chair, I just want to find out, not so much from the external audit at this point, but from management on the issue of transfer pricing. I should look at both you and yourself, Jenny. Seeing that it's very topical, and on the other boards that I sit on, that SARS has made it a focus area. What are we doing at Transformation Limited to make sure that we've got the right policies and we're implementing the right taxation strategies to make sure that we don't fall foul of the tax legislation and as far as transfer pricing is concerned?
Thank you. We've actually met with the external auditors on their findings, and we have consulted with their tax experts as well to see where the shortcomings are in the business. And from our point of view, I think we are going to put the processes in place so that we don't fall foul of the legislation going forward. And we've obviously looked at the historical numbers, and I think that we haven't got an issue up until now, but we are going to address that going forward.
Okay. Can I ask, Chair, that at the next audit committee meeting, you just look at it in a little bit more detail and just do a one-pager for us?
Absolutely.
Good.
No problem.
Thank you. Mr. Patel, after we approve the financial statements today, is there anything outstanding from a sign-off and presenting us with the audit report so that we could submit our financial statements, we could publish it, put it on our website?
Chair, we just have to look at the management representation letter, which is on the agenda. And the final review of the financials have done, and we've given our changes to the CFO. And once those changes are made, we'll be happy to sign.
Good, thank you for that. Any further discussion?
Mr. Patel, in the last audit committee, we discussed your cooperation between internal and external auditors. Have you received the degree of cooperation as discussed previously?
Chair, through you, yes, we have. We've met with the internal audit twice during the audit process. And like we said earlier, we actually relied on some of the information through the combined assurance model, especially on the IT findings.
Good, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we can move to item 8, the financial reports and approvals. We've had an earlier pre-meeting, ladies and gentlemen, where we've examined the content of the various documents that appear under heading 8. So if I could ask Mr. Cresswell on the financial statement side, anything you request us to do over and above what appears in the pack?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, in the pack is just an excerpt of those financial statements. We have been through the detail. I can highlight a few of the financial, of the highlights that happened through the year. Essentially, if we look at it, the revenue has increased from 193 to 210 million. That's an increase of 8.5%. Our GP percentage stayed fairly constant. It was 46.4% last year, up to 47% this year. Our administration expenses and other costs increased by about 6.4%, which is roughly in line with an inflationary increase. And this translated into an operating profit increase of about 21%. Just moving down to the profit for the year, that increased by about 12.2% year on year, looking at the prior year. Moving over to the statement of financial position. In essence here, what I wanted to highlight is that our non-current assets increased by 10% there, from 40 million up to 44 million, and that was predominantly through an increase in the property, plant and equipment acquisitions or purchases that we've made. On the current assets side, we've had an increase from 69 million to 88, which represents a 27% increase, and this is largely driven by an increase in trade and other receivables. And on that, I can say that the debtors book is fairly up to date. However, there are a few long outstanding large debtors which we are working on. We are adequately covered through credit insurance on those, but that's the reason for the large increase over there. Then moving on to the current liabilities, they've only gone up by 5 million from 14 to 19. And then our total net asset value is obviously increased then from 69 million up to 84 million. Those were pretty much the highlights.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Cresswell, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, thank you for that. Subject to us completing the other items under 8, can we recommend this for signature by the board, the financial statements?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Item 811, thank you, CEO, for a detailed going concern report. Any matter that you want to highlight to the committee this afternoon?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I will take the report as being read. I'd like to confirm that there are no financial, or the financial and non-financial indicators do not indicate that there are any adverse financial challenges facing the company at this point in time. There have also been no fundamental changes in the group's strategy. If you recall from our previous strategy session, I think that our last year results clearly validate that we are implementing that strategy fairly successfully. And the forecasts to the year end have been thoroughly challenged, thoroughly researched, and I believe present a reasonable expectation of what can be achieved in the future. I think there are, as we've confirmed at our strategy session as well, there are strong growth factors present which are driving demand at the moment, and this presents favourable opportunities for us. Our cash requirements have been adequately addressed, and there are also no material legal matters outstanding which may impact on the going concern. I can also confirm that we've made the appropriate disclosures as far as going concern is concerned in the financial statements, and that there are no post-balance sheet events which may impact on the appropriateness of the going concern assumptions.
Thank you, CEO. Can we ask our company secretary to minute that as such, so that we meet the requirements from a King governance and disclosure point of view? Members, any questions that you have on going concern? Thank you. The impairment of goodwill and the valuation of investments, Mr. Cresswell, anything you'd like to add to the reports that you've circulated?
No, Mr. Chairman, I can just confirm that we have considered the impairment of goodwill, and as part of that test, we've looked to ensure that the recoverable amount is higher than the carrying amount per the financial statements, and the higher, and this basically looks at whether the higher of the value in use and fair value less cost to sell is greater than the carrying amount. I can confirm that they are, and there's enough sufficient headroom to cover this. So from our point of view, we're happy that the carrying amount is.
Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you. If we go to 8.2, ladies and gentlemen, and for the audience's benefit, it's the first time that you'd see a written report on the effectiveness of internal controls. So if I could ask our Chief Audit Executive to talk to us thereon.
Thank you, Chair. This indicates the effectiveness of internal controls as considered by ourselves. Firstly, we indicated exactly the approach followed to date. So we proceeded as follows on each assignment: the agreement of engagement letter, identified risks, performance of pre-audit survey, the risk-based audit plan was done, the preparation of the internal audit programs. Then we tested and reviewed the reliability and integrity of financial and operating information. We reviewed the systems, we reviewed the internal control structures, we reviewed the economy, efficiency and effectiveness of the operational controls. We reviewed the processes and controls in place to ensure the safeguarding of assets. We did an assessment of the economic and efficient management of the organization's financial, human resources and other resources. We reviewed operations and programs to ascertain whether the results are consistent with established objectives and goals. We reviewed the planning, design, development, implementation, and operation of major computer-based systems in order to determine whether these systems have got adequate controls incorporated, that there are thorough systems testing, where there are changes made, and this happens at appropriate stages. The systems documentation is complete and accurate, and that the needs of users are met by the information systems. We looked at the preparation of reports for timely and continuous submission to the Audit Committee, including progress against the audit plan and summary of significant findings, if any. That is our responsibility. The report to management and the Audit Committee on audit findings, including making recommendations on a timely basis. We communicated with operational management to determine client satisfaction, to obtain input with which to improve the audit process in future years. We did follow-ups of prior year audit findings. We reviewed the internal audit charter and the Audit Committee charter, and assistance to management to improve the policies and procedures were given. Our scope specifically excluded accepting responsibility for management functions, including processing and approving transactions and making business decisions, and designing and implementing systems and processes. My apologies for going through this in detail, Chair, but since we've not tabled this before, I think it's necessary. As per the approved internal audit plan, we conducted a number of types of audits, being financial, operational, and risk-based, compliance and regulatory, performance, information systems, and fraud investigations and forensics. We confirmed that we received the requisite cooperation from management and all the information and documentation to conduct our work in terms of the standards of the Institute of Internal Auditors. We have reported our findings in terms of the approved grading system to the management and audit committee, being critical, significant, major, minor, and acceptable, as is indicated in our progress report, which we covered earlier. We reported all the control breakdowns have been accepted by management, and they are working as intended, where there have been no control breakdowns. There were, however, no critical breakdowns in control of financial controls, nor any significant deficiencies. Our conclusion, Transformation Limited's group internal audit function confirms that the internal controls within the group have been operating satisfactorily for the year under review.
Thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, are there any questions? It's a very detailed report that has been circulated. Are we comfortable to sign off on that? Thank you.
Straight.
Item 8.3, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the audience, what normally transpires is that we assess the expertise and the experience of the financial director, and normally he isn't present when we do that. We have prepared a paper that's included in the pack, but for the benefit of all, in the pre-meeting that I held with my colleagues on the audit committee, we assessed the expertise and the experience of the financial director. Not only is he youthful and good-looking, he also qualified as a chartered accountant in 2000, and he's kept up to date from a knowledge skills point of view. He's got the requisite CPD hours, he's attended meetings and established an effective control environment, and he's documented the policies. So from an audit committee point of view, including my absent colleague, Mr. Steve Gates, we confirm that we are satisfied with the experience and the expertise of the financial director. Neo Babulwa, is there anything you want to add?
No, we're comfortable, Chair.
Thank you.